Hi guys, so today's video I thought I'd make a little quick one about how to get into circus. My number one advice would be go to a circus school or go to a place that offers circus classes, but this video is for people that can't do that. So this is kind of how to learn circus from the comfort of your own home, or how to not learn circus but how to start getting into it. So a lot of people are guilty of wanting to do circus without really knowing what it is, including myself. I had absolutely no clue what circus was about when I went to circus school. I thought it was just a way to, have fun and keep doing flips. So what I'd recommend for you to do, first evening, first couple of days, spend it online. What I've just done is I've typed in circus full show onto YouTube, and there's a load of full circus shows. You can see the final performance of the Ringling Brothers, and that's 2 hours 38 minutes. There's local Indian circus full show, Russian circus full show, circus show with animals, Ashton Circus full show 1980. There's loads. Most of these are, what you would consider to be more traditional circus, which is great. But yeah, watch a couple of these. The next thing that I would do to get another side of the circus world is to go on the list, type in FedEx Circus School list on Google, and if you do that, the first result or the second result should be a list of members. I'm just clicking it right here, and it basically gives you a list of all the circus schools that are in the FedEx, which is the European Federation of Professional Circus Schools. So you can go on a map. They're not all in Europe, but a lot of them are. And yeah, basically I would go to, just because I'm familiar with this, I'll go on the map tool and I'll go to London, and there you can see there's the National Centre for Circus Arts. This is just an example. You can do this with any school, any country. And you can click on it, see the name, go on the website, or just Google it and look up National Centre for Circus Arts graduation pieces. Now, a lot of these circus schools are different sorts. Some of them are university type courses. Some of them are for like pre-university. A lot of them are different lengths and basically for different levels and abilities and ages. But you can go through a couple of them and see what shows they have online. And if you do this, you'll see, probably with a lot of these, you're going to see more of a contemporary side to circus. And spend like however many hours you want to spend on this. Really, you can just keep going. The more you know, the better it is for you, the more you're going to learn. Just go through this, go through the circus shows on YouTube, and then see what sort of circus appeals to you the most. Within all of this stuff as well, specifically, what about circus do you want to learn? Which brings me to my next point. When you say you want to get into circus, circus is a really big thing, and it's comprised of a lot of little things, not little, but a lot of different things that can each take many lifetimes to master. So it's pretty useful if you kind of have an idea of where you want to go with circus. For example, do you want to be a handstand person? Do you want to be an acrobat? Do you want to be a juggler? Do you want to be an aerial artist? Etc. If you know, the sooner you know this, the sooner you're going to be able to get better and get started in doing that and begin going down that path. So think about that. Always have this on your mind, like specifically what would I want to kind of specialize in. Doesn't have to be just one thing, but it's not going to be everything unless you are really going to dedicate a long time and you're really talented, whatever. But usually a couple of things. And if you don't know this, it's no problem. basically, the next piece of advice is going to be regardless. Strength, flexibility, and you want a basic foundation in pretty much everything, and then you're going to be able to apply more specialized skills later down the line. So what I would do from home, assuming you have no equipment, no money, not loads of space, no access to any training facilities, this is what I do. I would go and first we're going to think flexibility. You know, flexibility helps almost every single thing in circus. It's going to be, you're going to need a lot more flexibility if you, for example, wanted to be a contortionist, or even doing an aerial act, for example, compared to if you were a juggler. But regardless, I think it's good to not have any weak points, especially if you don't know what you want to specialize in, right? So what we're going to do, we're going to go onto YouTube, and I'm just going to recommend this person because I have used his routines before. Type in Tom Merrick flexibility, and already straight away what comes up: 20-minute full body flexibility routine, 15-minute beginner flexibility routine. Follow along. What I'd recommend for you guys is, if you want to do a generalized one, you know, it's going to be good to do a generalized one, but specifically I would say do the 25-minute hamstring. Oh, there's a 15-minute hamstring. Basically, like hamstring or a split specific one, I would start with that, because then you have an actual specific target in mind. Front splits would be number one for me. I think that's the easiest flexibility thing to get, compared to, well, my big three are front splits, box splits, and bridge. There's loads of other goals of flexibility, but that's what I think of. And for me personally, front splits was way easier than the other two. Maybe it's different for you guys, but whatever it is, I would just pick one and just focus on doing a routine for that. And you know, if you go on this guy, Tom Merrick, you can follow his splits routine. And I would just do that. I don't know how often he says to do it. I would personally do it like every other day, maybe every other day, and then weekends off. So like 3 times a week. And yeah, I would do this. The goal in mind is to achieve the splits. The ultimate goal is to become flexible. But the first goal is doesn't have to be a split straight away. I don't know what your level is. It could be, first of all, just touch your toes, or it could be touch your toes with, touch the ground with your palm instead of your fingers. Things like this. But it's important to set that goal and then know what you're working towards, because once you achieve that, you can move on to the next thing, you know. The idea here is we're learning stuff that's going to give you a strong foundation for the time when you do go to the circus school or you do move to the next step of your training. Remember, this is just advice for stuff you can do at home for free, etc. So, pick your flexibility thing and do that. If you can be bothered, I would complement this with a full body thing. I personally do type in breathe and flow 20-minute routine, and it's a 20-minute yoga routine. You don't have to do this exact one. This is just what I've been doing recently. You can also do one of Tom Merrick's. If you can be bothered. A lot of people can't be bothered to do a splits thing and a full body thing. It's too much stretching, but it's up to you. This could definitely be useful. You don't want to be tight anywhere. You need to be flexible, mobile, everywhere. Yoga as well, the breathe and flow 20-minute routine. Yoga is pretty much perfect for circus because it's not only flexibility, but it's also strength. and good posture, learning to use your breath. Like, the advantages, the benefits there are loads. But yeah, I appreciate not everyone can be bothered to do this. I definitely could not be bothered to do this when I first started, but now I'm doing it. So the next thing that I would do, you've got your flexibility thing. So you can start to work this into a little plan, you know. Every evening you're going to do, you set yourself half an hour to do a flexibility thing, whether that's the full body or the splits. The next thing that I would do personally is learn handstands. Now, handstands, I say handstands because, you know, you can do it in your home very easily. You need absolutely nothing. The way to learn handstands, I'm not sponsored by this guy, Tom Merrick, but he has some really good quality content on handstands. The other things you can do are go on Instagram and follow. There's 2 handstand coaches that I know on Instagram that also post a lot of stuff for free. Like, I appreciate you don't have money maybe to pay for actual private classes, but I would go to it's the Handstand Factory. That's one of them, and one of the guys that runs this is Mikhail. I'm going to say his name wrong. Mikhail Chris. Right, I'm putting his thing in the comments. Also, I'm sorry for saying your name wrong if you watch this, Mika. Jonathan Last, go follow him on Instagram. And there's also someone that works also with the Handstand Factory is Emmett Lewis. Follow him. And he is like, so basically Mika is a handstand guy. Emmett Lewis is like, he does the handstands, but he's also like a stretching guru kind of guy. And he seems to be pretty much the guy that everyone goes to. All the handstand coaches seem to get that information from him. So, you know, go straight to the source. Check him out. Check him out on Instagram. Also on YouTube, Emmett Lewis. He's got some really quality stuff just on YouTube for free. You don't have to pay anything. If you have the money, obviously, pay these guys for a lesson or to sign up to their course, etc. But again, obviously, not everyone has the money. So, just going through these guys' Instagrams, you're going to be able to pick up a lot of good handstand information and tips for beginners. All of them have like story highlights and stuff with tutorials on, or different Instagram posts with tutorials. Have a little look. While I'm on the topic of Instagram, if you don't have an account, I would get one. Follow these hashtags. Follow circus, hashtag circus, obviously. There's also Circus International, Circus Around the World, Circus School, Circus Every Damn Day. There's a few circus ones, but if you just follow these, you'll get a good idea of kind of what's going on in the circus community-ish. And yeah, so what I would recommend is in your weekly schedule, you've got your flexibility blocked out in the evenings or whenever you choose to do it. Stick in 3 or 4 handstand sessions a week. The reason you should get good at handstands is because in gymnastics and in circus, the handstand position is the base of a lot of moves. Like if you are a flyer, obviously, that does handstands, you're going to need it. If you're a base, you will also need the strength and the posture and everything that the handstand can give you. And this applies like for everything. If you can do a handstand correctly, it means you have a certain amount of strength, certain amount of control, certain amount of flexibility, mobility in your shoulders, etc. It's really an invaluable skill, and you should definitely know it for the circus. It took me way too long to learn to handstand with proper technique, and all I wish I'd done is started earlier. So I would say start early. It's not going to be a quick, easy journey. It's going to be pretty stressful. It's going to take a long time. But if you start now and look back in 1 year's time and you actually do the stuff that I've said, then you're going to have, you know, a really decent level of flexibility and a really decent level of handstands for someone that could have just had nothing. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I'd totally recommend doing these two things. The third thing I would recommend doing from home is learning to juggle. Not everyone wants to juggle, and I appreciate it's quite a specialist thing. Like, there's not really going to be a big crossover between juggling and, you know, aerial or tight wire. There can be, but it's not so much as handstands. But I would learn to juggle purely because it is a, you know, an integral part of the circus. It's also a really good lesson in learning, you know. If you can teach yourself juggling tricks and you can discipline yourself to practice them, this is going to really cross over into many other things. And if you do go to a circus school, or maybe you see on Instagram, that there are a lot of jugglers that tend to, I think out of all the circus disciplines, seems to me that someone that started with juggling is most likely to get a couple of disciplines at a really high or a decent level. I don't know what it is exactly. They seem to be into learning stuff kind of for the sake of learning stuff. But yeah, I would just recommend giving it a go. Go on my YouTube, youtube.com/MikeCoreCircus. I guess you're already watching this on YouTube, but I've got a playlist with about 25 juggling tutorials from beginner level. All you need to do is get yourself 3 balls, a very, very worthy investment. If you don't want to spend on balls, you can make your own. I've got a tutorial for this also. But yeah, I would stick your juggling session in a couple of times a week, potentially even daily. This is really depending on you. And when I say to make this schedule and to do this research, I'm also imagining that over time you're going to settle in to the thing that you want to do. So now you've got your 3 things. You've got, well, first you've got your research, where you're understanding what circus looks like around the world, different contexts that people do circus in, like more traditional shows or more contemporary shows. Then you've got your schedule where you're learning your flexibility, your handstands and juggling. So what would I recommend on top of this? Obviously a general level of fitness is something you're going to need to have. Whether or not you decide to include a body weight type workout a couple of times a week, I would personally recommend it. If you know, for example, you want to do aerial, or you're really attracted to aerial circus, a chin-up bar would probably be one of the best investments that you can make for a relatively small amount of money. You can also just go to the park, and I'm sure they have something to do chin-ups on. But this chin-up strength and pull-up strength as well, hanging strength and grip strength are really, really going to make a massive difference. And if you get a good level of these and flexibility before you start aerial, before you ever touch an aerial prop, you're already going to be miles ahead of people that haven't done this. Like, for example, in my school, when we first started, I would say within the people that were doing aerial, average chin-ups was probably about 5. That might be higher in other schools around the world, but just to say, if you can do a load of chin-ups, you can already grip and really strong, you might be able to pick stuff up really, really quick when it comes to it. And another example, in Cirque du Soleil, maybe other shows as well, gymnasts who have a good level of everything really. Gymnastics, on that note, if there's a gym club near you, that's probably going to be more accessible to a lot of people than a circus school, because there's not a circus school in every town. But there are gymnastics places in, you know, they're more common at least. Go to one of those, do the classes there. It's definitely going to help if that's a possibility. But yeah, gymnasts, basically, they have a very good level of strength, flexibility, also bodily awareness. And in some companies, they can just say they can get a gymnast and they can put them on an aerial prop and they have a world-class act straight away. So it really, don't undervalue the importance of strength, like your basics, and with the knowledge that you can just apply this to a circus discipline when the time comes. So yeah, I think that pretty much is it. A couple of things. I'll just say it one more time. Research, flexibility, handstands, juggling, strength. If and when you decide what you might be interested in, try and tailor your work towards that. You know, if you know you really don't want to juggle, like, just quit juggling. You don't have to be good at juggling, but I think if the goal is to go to a circus school and you can do a bit of everything, you're going to be ahead of the pack. And if you already know what you're going to specialise in, you will also have a bit of an advantage there. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I might think of some stuff that I should have said once I finish this video, and maybe I'll make a part 2. But anyway, let me know what you think. If you have any questions or you want clarification on anything, then feel free just to ask me, and I'm more than happy to help you out with your own journey. I purposely didn't talk about acrobatics because it's kind of hit and miss, like learning it on your own if you're not really dedicated. But I suppose if you can't do like forward rolls and cartwheels and stuff like this, you know, definitely do them in the garden or in the park. You are excused from not doing flips outside of a gym, but you know, you've got to get the cartwheels down, the one-handed cartwheels and stuff like this. Any problems with any of these, check out my YouTube channel. I've got a lot of acrobatics tutorials on there, forward rolls, back rolls as well, all this stuff. Very important. These are the absolute basics, you know. But yeah, think about that as maybe like a once a week thing. Go to the park and try them. But you know, maybe you live in a cold country, like, or somewhere like England where it's not really possible right now. So if that's the case, then don't worry. Anyway, yeah, so sign out for now. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think. If you enjoyed the video, like it, leave me a comment, subscribe to my channel for more stuff, and yeah, thanks for watching.